please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thought you were going to roll it right off the bat.
Okay, good morning. First item of business is consideration of agenda items. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I have an addition.
Okay.
Under county administration, asking to add an item. One moment, please. Item C,
Okay.
consider approval to re-rate the highway maintenance 2 position from a grade 140 to a grade 150 after review by the evaluation committee and personnel committee.
All right. Any other additions or corrections?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
excuse me. Under Joint Ditch 15, I will want to add between C and D, add presentation of viewer correction to the report.
Say that again, please.
Presentation of viewer correction.
All right.
Thank you.
And we're going to remove the item 13, the closed session for discussion of elected official salaries. That'll be discussed at our December 31st meeting in an open session. Yeah, it'll be discussed then. Any other additions or corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda? Motion by Commissioner Wright,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move the approval of the consent agenda.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, to our Government Center update. Good morning.
Good morning, Board. For those that don't know me, I'm Travis with Contag Group, and Sam. We'll start
Close to the microphone.
Sam Pressure.
We'll get on our routine of our monthly updates here now. I'm trying to hit Liz is getting me on track, and Sheila's keeping me in line that direction. So we'll start routinely showing up here and giving you the little more update on where we're at. So this meeting, don't have a ton on the budget. The budget's pretty straightforward, the same as you've seen before. I know you guys had a little discussion on the roof at a couple meetings ago, and we're going through some of those parts and pieces yet. But budget's the same, and we're off and running. More than anything, probably a little schedule update on what we're doing on site and some of the happenings, and if there's questions.
Well, the project's running on schedule. Underground roughing is complete. We should be pouring the slab back in. We're looking at structural steel arriving about the second week in January. And we're going to get up and framing on some of the first floor in January as well.
All right.
Then from there, mechanical roughing will follow suit and some stud framing, and we'll start seeing some of the building come to life that way on the inside.
Good.
Questions, I guess, on schedule? I know it's short and a little brief this time, but
That's okay. Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for bringing us some information this morning. Are you finding any surprises as you move through the project, or is everything going according to plan?
we've had a couple little nuanced surprises, a little bit with the underground, a couple pieces, but nothing major, knock on wood so far.
Okay.
It's been pretty straightforward.
Some code compliance changes have been.
We do have, we got one we're kind of sifting through with the code. State usually goes through the plans, and they're, they always see things a little differently at times, so we're just making sure we got all our P's and Q's in that order. So we have a few changes that way, making sure fire ratings are correct, corridors are correct lengths. We'll have a couple small changes that direction. But otherwise, so far, so good. Sometimes I was getting that mode of nothing's quick enough because we want steel now, and we're close. We got through all the review process of that, and so once that gets rolling.
All right, well, thank you. So you're finding your subcontractors are ready to
They're
move on their
anxious.
portions as soon as one?
Yep, they're they've actually been doing a nice job, like Sam saying, our underground will be about done here. We're actually, we're gonna do a pre-pour concrete review meeting next, as we get ready to start putting all the concrete slabs back together for slab on grade, coming up here in the very near future. So meeting with trades here yet this morning, make sure we're good on that front, and then it is structural steel to start putting those floors in the, kind of create that second floor space here in the coming weeks.
Okay, good. Looking forward to seeing that develop. Thank
So
you.
yeah,
All right. Just make sure you put a good sound system in the boardroom, okay?
perfect. Thank you
All
guys.
right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, building maintenance, Scott.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to request approval to replace one of the social service copiers with one off of the state contract from Metro Sales in the amount of $13,107 with funding from the Health and Human Services budget, which is split between two accounts. The existing copier is still on the old state contract. So our color copies are going to go down from 12 cents a piece to 6 cents a piece, and there's no base rate on the new state contract.
Maybe this is premature to ask, and Sheila help me with this, but what is the plan as we move into the government center, as we start to think about consolidating this equipment? Do we have a plan for that? Can you kind of fill me in on that, how that's going to look? This isn't fair because I didn't prep you for this, but
That's all right. So when we looked at the floor plans, we planned for all the technology with Matt Troska throughout the process, and we are aware of what we are going to need for machines there, and that's being taken into consideration as Scott does purchases throughout the time between when we knew what we needed and when we're going to be moving.
okay, so
Yep.
we're thinking about that now already?
Yep.
Okay, that's all I needed to know.
Just to expand on that a little bit, we have, I did go and do a usage for that for the Health and Human Services building, because our initial intent was to try to cut back on copiers, but most of your printing takes place in that building.
Right.
So eliminating this copier really wasn't an option.
Okay, well, I appreciate that you're thinking about that already, because hopefully we can eliminate a few of those machines as we move it. over.
Right.
You know, should be able to, right?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So we've already been extending the life of some of the current equipment that we have and not replacing it, even in the courthouse,
Right.
in anticipation. And like Scott said, the government center up the second floor is going to have a lot of needs. And so we had to plan for the locked printing room, correct? And then the shared printing areas too.
Correct.
All right, fair enough. I'll move to approve the purchase. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheriff's Office. Tim, you're right on time.
Good morning.
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 We have 3 different items here. The first one is to enter into a contract with the City of Silver Lake to provide administrative services for their police department. Their police chief resigned, and they're currently looking to hire a new one. We will be reimbursed at a rate of $43.85 per hour for all hours spent doing this detail. There's no set end date, but it's believed that this will go through March or April before they get somebody hired.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve the contract with the City of Silver Lake for supervision of their police department.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I have one question, Mr. Chair. Tim, will this be a 24/7 time frame for now, or is it
This is-
daytime or evening, or?
This is purely administrative. We're going to be handling it during the day with either our sergeants, myself, or the sheriff.
Okay.
It's stuff like approving reports, signing complaints, approving citations, that kind of stuff, just making sure the workflow goes through.
Thank you.
Well, and supervising the force out there, the
Right.
Silver Lake officers.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The second item is to consider approval to enter into an agreement with the state of Minnesota through the Department of Public Safety for a grant so the sheriff's office and our records management system can become NIBRS compliant. That stands for National Incident Based Reporting System. This is something that's mandatory for all agencies by January 1 of 2021. And the grant is for up to $8,000 and coincides with the next item on the agenda.
All right. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement with the state of Minnesota Department of Public Safety bring up our new standards in crime reporting.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The third item is to consider approval of the quote provided by our records management system, which is LATG, to do the work necessary to get us to where we can become compliant with NIBRS. This will take several months at a cost not to exceed $8,000, which is the same as the grant amount.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mike, any issue taking the next item early or not?
The bonding,
Yeah, 20 minutes early.
probably shouldn't.
Okay. That means lots of things. Slow down. All right, we'll go to, we're gonna go all the way to Health and Human Services. Sorry, Julie, take your time if you gotta get organized.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Glad I came for the whole meeting.
Yes, we are too.
Okay, so I'm here today for the board to consider approval of the Prime West Health Joint Powers Agreement to remain a member county and ensure that McLeod County recipients have access to health care covered through medical assistance. Prime West Health's Joint Power Board voted unanimously on November 7th, 2019, to approve an updated version of the Joint Powers Agreement. Each member county must also get their county board approval for the revised agreement. The changes to the agreement are updated definitions to distinguish between existing county members and the expansion counties. You probably recall that Prime West is working to expand its county members from the current 13 and add an additional 11 counties. So the additional provisions also talk about the membership and voting rights, since those expansion counties will be coming in. And there's clarification about county withdrawal and termination from Prime West. And finally, an update regarding how the distribution of assets would be if the joint powers agreement was dissolved. McLeod County County Attorney Mike Young has reviewed this agreement. He does have some concerns, particularly about the withdrawal and termination and that final distribution provision. We did relay those concerns to Prime West. They were not adequately addressed in the final version of the agreement. However, if we do not sign on and approve this agreement, I'm not sure exactly what that means. I said that it would mean we're no longer a Prime West member. I believe that's true. I don't know that for sure.
It would be true.
Yeah, I would assume so. And that would mean that our medical assistant recipients would be without a health plan. Because of this, I recommend that the board approve the joint powers agreement to secure that those clients continue to have health insurance. I do think that we can certainly continue to bring these concerns to the Joint Powers Board to see if we can get them resolved that way. As you know, McLeod County is a member of that board, so any vote that would be to have us terminated from the board, we would be part of that, and I believe those discussions would happen before that took place. But I think Prime West would be agreeable to continue at least hearing our concerns and see if there were other ways to resolve it. My understanding is that this has gone to several of the other boards, and there are commissioners that have raised these same concerns, even though some of the county attorneys did not. It has passed all of the boards that it's been to, but I don't have those numbers, so.
Mike, anything to add?
Sure. The reason I think it's a bad agreement is that if either we choose to recommend somebody other than Prime West, or the state of Minnesota designates somebody other than Prime West as our provider for any of the areas, then Prime West has the right to kick us out and keep our money that they already have, which to me just seems to be patently unfair. If they kick us out and give us back our share of the money, then I could care less. But to me, it seems like it is an effort to entrench the Prime West administrative staff and perpetuate their existence, and is not in the best interest of McLeod County residents. But your choice is to not go along with the agreement or to go along with a bad agreement, and of those two, going along with a bad agreement is the preferable one. But I think that if this mattered enough, I would go in there and scream bloody murder and rally other county attorneys because this is a bad agreement.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Mike, for your analysis. The terminology within the joint powers agreement also serves as a protection for the member counties, in that should another county decide to withdraw and take their portion of the reserve with them, that could encumber the total reserves of Prime West, such that the remaining counties would be requested to replace the withdrawn surplus from the other withdrawing county. In other words, I'm trying to say that it protects us in the event that another county decides to pull out. And we've seen this happen in another county-based purchasing organization where their reserves ran low, and the counties were asked to contribute to the reserve to keep the fund solvent. And so this is a kind of a backstop, if you will, that says we're not going to let the organization deteriorate to the point where we have to go back to our member counties and ask for an infusion of cash to keep it afloat. So it's a two-edged sword. It protects us in one way, but it also kind of binds us in another way.
And I don't disagree with that, but what it does do is if the organization goes totally south and there's one county left, that one county gets the benefit of having all of the reserves go to them because they stuck out a bad deal.
As a point of clarification, I will say that the distribution piece was in the previous agreement, that if a county were to withdraw, they would not be able to take their funds with them. The piece that makes it a little problematic now that's new is the piece that Prime West can say that you're no longer part of the agreement, so that it doesn't become the county's choice to withdraw.
And the prior agreement didn't allow them to kick us out.
Correct.
All right.
Sometimes you have to take a bad deal.
Yes. Mr. Chair, with that discussion, I would move the approval of the Prime West Health Joint Powers Agreement as revised with the expansion counties included in the new Joint Powers Agreement.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I mean, and then this is one of them questions I hate to ask. What we get into these deals, what's our alternative? We really don't have one. It's just, we just got to go along with the bad deal is basically what.
You could scramble and come up with a medical provider. You could look at hooking on with Carver County. Are there other options? Yes. Are they probably worse than what this is? Yes.
Yeah, and we haven't looked into what we would need to do because this health plan was secured through DHS procurement. It's the only health plan we had through that process, so we would need to probably reach out to DHS and see what they would recommend. I mean, I can't believe that we would be without a health plan, but how we would go about getting that and what that would mean, at this point, I do not know.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you, Julie, and I would like to remind the Board of Commissioners here that last spring, when the issue of, our plan provider for 2020 was brought forward, it was the recommendation of our Health and Human Services Department that we continue to utilize Prime West to the fullest extent possible. So from the perspective of our staff, we know that they have a preference to remain with Prime West, and I think in the long run, it serves our constituents better than some of the alternatives because we've seen other HMOs around the state, come and go from various county programs, and that is a major disturbance to the clientele when they've got to change health plans. When there was no decision of their choosing, So we've got to, I think, provide, the best service that we can for our constituents, and I do believe Prime West is the best product available for us.
We've been very happy with Prime West. And one final piece I'll point out is there is going to be some legislative work done this upcoming session to try to strengthen the county-based purchasing language in the statute. And I think some of that will help possibly alleviate some of these concerns if we don't have to worry about the procurement process and we can make a more informed decision about remaining with Prime West.
Okay.
I guess I have one last question, and I'm okay with the conversation we have up to today, but I guess, Mr. Young, are we like in quicksand though? I mean, the longer we go along with this, do we get deeper in it? Or can we have this conversation a year from now or 2 years from now? And I mean, this new agreement troubles me a little bit because they're trying to nail down an easy way out of this, in my opinion, but.
There's no easy way out.
No.
I don't recall what the term of the joint powers agreement is off the top of my head. Can the joint powers agreement be changed? Yes, it can, but it would take a vote of the counties. The amount of money that we're talking about here, as I understand it, is about the equivalent of a month and a half or 2 months of cash flow. So we're not talking millions and millions of dollars for McLeod County.
I guess what I'm trying to say is I agree with Mr. Szymanski and Julie that for today, it's probably our best option, but I just want to make sure going forward, it's a little bit more transparent than it is today.
Mr. Chair.
Oh, I think it's plenty transparent.
Well,
it tells us exactly what's going to happen.
I don't like what I see today, so let me say that.
There isn't anything hidden here.
Right. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
If I may just remind the board that our cash investment in Prime West, when it was initiated, I believe back in 1998, when we put forward a loan to launch Prime West, that has been repaid to us. Any reserves that are existing are simply and solely the accumulation of reserves through the ongoing business of Prime West. It's not that McLeod County infused a major amount of cash to launch the organization, that we haven't been repaid yet. So again, this is reserves accumulated over 20 years of business that have kept the organization solvent and performing well in our member counties.
All right, I'll call the question. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Julie.
All right. We still have a bit of time, and I think we want to, because of the nature of the topic, we'll stay on schedule. So Sheila, actually, let's do our calendars. All right, Rich?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Since the last meeting, we had a workshop. Well, no, we didn't have a workshop. That was our Truth and Taxation meeting. So I attended the Prime West meeting on Thursday, and then Following, or last week, Monday through Wednesday, I attended the AMC conference, which I felt was a very good conference. A lot of good information. Got to do a lot of networking with other commissioners, finding out what some of their problems were in other counties, and we face many of the same problems, but at the same time, there's many problems that we don't face that they do. So it's good to get the network and know where the rest of the commissioners are across the state of Minnesota. Along with that, a few phone calls and some comments on the Comiskey Bridge, trying to save it somehow. So we'll see what happens there. Thank you.
Steve, we had our TNT meeting. I had a budget meeting to make sure numbers are good and true for today. Met with SWCD staff and our ditch inspector, setting up all the information needed for Friday's meeting with County Ditch number 63 and 64, where we talked about several different repair topics. Also attended Lynn Township Board meeting and talked with them about how ditch number 63 and the work that needs to be done involves some of their budgets as well.
Truth and Taxation hearing, also attended the AMC conference. It was fine. It was too long. But maybe we can get some feedback to them to cram it into 2 days instead of 3. Union negotiations, specifically yesterday, with 2 groups of the Teamsters, clerical and highway, and the licensed sergeants. So that was the last couple weeks for me. Went fast.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. And since our last board meeting, I also participated in the Truth and Taxation meeting with the county board here on December 3rd. On the 5th, Rich and I attended the Prime West Health Joint Powers Board meeting. Things are moving along. We worked out our budget details for 2020. This is kind of unique in the many years that I've served on the Prime West Board. The budget, because of the DHS rate setting being delayed and postponed late into the year, we weren't usually able to set our calendar year budget till about February. And this year we were able to set our budget in December, excuse me. And overall, the budget is in the range of $300 million for the 2020 operations of Prime West. Attended the AMC conference on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Met with a lot of good friends that we've developed over the years. Had some interesting seminars and some great entertainment besides. So it was one of the highlights of the conferences that we were entertained on Tuesday night. So Sunday afternoon, I attended the funeral of a resident of Winstead, the National Guard soldier who was killed in the helicopter crash by St. Cloud a couple weeks ago. And that was a very moving funeral service for Warrant Officer James Rogers. And may he rest in peace. And then yesterday we had the negotiations with 3 of our bargaining units, and things are moving along nicely. And congratulations to our administrative staff and legal team to get us closer to settlement on our contracts as we move forward. Thank you.
Okay, I also attended Truth and Taxation, and most of my 2 weeks was encumbered still with water. I had Drainage Authority meeting with the DNR, McLeod, and SWCD, still on getting our ditches back to the original engineered shape. I also had a Buffalo Creek watershed meeting to talk about our water problem from the social services and our property north of town, the repair of that tile coming into the city of Blanco, an HRA meeting. And I also attended the AMC conference. I just did my MRC, which was our meeting the night before it started, and I did my policy with environment and natural resources on Monday. I also had a Mid-Minnesota meeting. I also then attended a drainage seminar put on by McLeod in Alexandria. It was a full-day seminar, all on drainage, and it was very beneficial for me. It's just seems like it's a never-ending job trying to understand the laws in drainage and how they change and affect private property. Then I also had a Transportation Alliance meeting on last Friday the 13th in Chaska, which is on 212. And then that afternoon, I had another transportation meeting with District 8 that was held in Winstead, which obviously was nice to have. We had a good turnout, and it was nice to have them here in McLeod County. And that brings us to today.
All right.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I had an oversight in my calendar report on Friday. We had the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Legislative Breakfast over in Monticello. We had about 9 legislators or congressional representatives in attendance. We talked about workforce development, jobs, and keeping the workforce engaged in Central Minnesota. We had a very good meeting, and appreciate our local legislators being there. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. Okay, we'll head to the bonding question. McLeod?
Good morning.
Good morning.
We have PFM here, who is our bond counsel, and she's going to go through the process a little bit, maybe to make it a little easier to understand how it worked.
All right.
Our original request was for 10 million, but the debt actually involved with that is 9,040,000 would be our debt repayment. So I just want to have her come up and talk about that a little bit.
Sounds good.
Good morning. Arcelia Dietert from Public Financial Management. I'm here to present the results of the sale, the bond sale we had yesterday. We took the bonds into a competitive process. We prepared a bond document called the official statement, where we presented all the details of the transaction and all the expectations of the bond sale. We published that a few weeks back through Bloomberg and all the media sources that we have available in our arsenal as municipal advisor. And yesterday we opened bids. We closed bids at noon. All the bids came at that point, and we received 12 bids in total, including the local bank. It was a very successful bid. Basically, you were the only Minnesota transaction in the market, so you had all the attention out there. Your bond rating is AA. It's the same rating that you've had in the past for the prior bonds. S&P did not have any concerns on the economy. I think it's very positive. Your fund balance is great. So with that information, the 12 bids that came in, there is results of sale. I don't know if you have these on hand. No? Okay. Should I pass them? Do you have? I can read. Yeah. They'll be ready. So we have, she will make copies of these. The results of sale present each bidder, the interest rates that they provided, the total amount that they were willing to purchase, and what it signifies in terms of a net interest cost as a total dollar amount and a percentage, true interest cost, which includes the discount and all the cost in there. So Janney Montgomery from Philadelphia was the lowest bidder with 1.59% for a 15-year bond issue, followed by Raymond James with a 1.5989, really, really close. Piper Jeffrey in Minneapolis bid a 1.60% of TIC. Robert Baird bid a 1.6095 as very close again. Bank of Your Mellon, 1.61. The Baker Group in Oklahoma, 1.63. Hilltop Securities in Dallas, 1.68. Northland Securities in Minneapolis, 1.68. SunTrust Robinson in Nashville, 1.72. Security Bank and Trust in Glencoe, 1.75. FHN Financial in Memphis, 1.78. Morgan Stanley in New York, 1.81. We ran the schedules based on Janney Montgomery, which is the lowest bidder. And we went to the market with, assuming that we needed $9.5 million on bonds to net $10 million for your projects. Because of the level of premium that Janney was willing to pay you, they actually pay almost $1 million of premium, which is basically money that they're willing to pay more to buy your bonds. We had to reduce the issue size to 9.40. Of course, when you reduce the bond issue size, it reduces the total net interest costs and the total interest net annual debt service that you have to pay on the bonds. So with that reduction, with $9.40 million of bond, the total debt service for the life of the bonds is around $10,802,000. And a $9.40 million bond issue plus the premium that Janney provided you will give you a gross amount for the project for $9.895. So almost the $10 million that the county needed. Any questions at this point?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Is that pretty average right now? You said we had 12 bidders.
Yes.
Is that good, or is that average? Or
That's
is it...
more than we have seen. We usually see around 4 to 5 bidders per issue. So this was very good.
And what does that mean? I mean, I'm sorry to ask that, but what does that mean it's good? Is that just because...
More competition, a lot of bidders, because it's almost the end of the year. The underwriters, banks want to probably buy the last bond issue with a good credit for their portfolio, either for their portfolio in the case of Bankers Trust, or to buy and sell in the case of an underwriter. So because you were the only Minnesota credit with a good rating and a $10 million, I mean a good chunk of bonds, you just got all the attention. 12 bids it's very good. We see 12 bids maybe in big transactions like counties in the metro area. Hennepin County usually gets that much just because they sell $100 million bonds and people want to get a hand of those.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Okay. So I guess we're looking for a motion to accept the, Mike, if you can, help me with this so I don't screw it up. We're looking for a motion to accept the low bid, I guess.
Yeah, to approve the issuance.
Yeah, issues of the bid. So this Janney Montgomery Scott, right, is the low bid? Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So if you would consider approval of Resolution 19 CV 56, authorizing issuance, awarding sale, and prescribing the form and details and providing the payment of the General Obligation Bond Series 2019-A.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve Resolution 19 CB 56.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Colleen, in the resolution, it's printed in our packet here, it says $9.51 million.
Right, and that is...
number be changed then?
It'll be reduced down to $9,040,000.
Can you give what the exact number is?
I think I have it here. It's,
These are the schedules.
yeah, right here.
$9,040,000.
$9,040,000 is the general obligation payment that we'll have.
So just if you can help me clarify this, but, so now we're instead of bonding for $10 million, we're bonding for 9.04?
That's our debt payment
That's our debt
schedule.
payment,
We'll be receiving the 9,800,000 that Arcelia was telling you about. That's what we'll,
895,000.
right,
Yes.
that's
Okay.
what we'll receive
All right.
in cash, but the payment back is 9,040,000 because we got the premium on the bonds.
So this is an excellent deal.
It is a
for
very
McLeod
good deal.
County. Because then our debt service will be the 1.59% on
Correct.
the 9,000,000
And actually, when we get to the property tax levy, I'll let you know how that affected
Okay.
2020's budget.
This is very good news, though. Thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just wanted to add, during the reasons that they're provided for given for the rate that we have, it was nice to hear that the different bidders looked at McLeod County's financial health and our history and found it to be quite favorable. And that's a great compliment to how we've been running ourselves, I believe, and put us in a position to have the type of rate that came out of it today. So that's very good to hear anyways.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I did too. I don't get, I got a 35-minute crash course in how this all works, and I'm not going to claim to even try to explain it, but I guess I'm confident in going forward with what we have here today. I need to, and I don't know, the commissioners always have to understand all this, but there's so many moving parts, my words, in seeing how this is all developed. It's amazing. I thank, Arcelia, I thank you for your time that you put in with me this morning to help me understand that. So.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we probably should stay on time with the tax levy piece, so we're a little early, so we're going to go back and handle some other items. Sorry, Colleen.
That's okay.
Sheila, would you mind taking some administrative items, please?
Thank you. Under County Administration, item A, notification of completion of McLeod County Sheriff's Office tobacco compliance check. On December 12, 2019, the McLeod County Sheriff's Office conducted tobacco compliance checks throughout McLeod County. All of the establishments licensed by McLeod County passed the compliance checks for 2019.
Good.
Item B, notification of McLeod County Workshop to be held on December 31, 2019, following the county board meeting at the Glencoe City Center. And we added item C, consider approval to re-rate the highway maintenance 2 position from a grade 140 to grade 150 as recommended by the Evaluation Committee and Personnel Committee.
All right. Any questions on that? I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, I can't make up any more stuff.
Mr. Chair, if I may ask a question?
Sure.
Going back to item A under administration, the tobacco compliance by the retail establishments in McLeod County, I don't recall in my years on the county board that we ever had 100% compliance with tobacco, and I think that's a great testament to all of the retailers of tobacco in McLeod County, as well as our law enforcement doing the check and making sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes. All right, we'll be in recess till 10 o'clock. We're on item 8, discussion of the final property tax levy and budget. Colleen?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to get approval for the 2020 proposed tax levy of $24,541,116. This is a decrease from the preliminary budget that was set on September 17th of $87,201, and that is due to the debt repayment schedule as the bondings came in at such a good rate, we were able to reduce our expenses for the levy on that for 2020. Oh, certified levy.
All right,
Chair?
questions or discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make that a motion to set the levy at the $24,541,116.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger, any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to add, for point of discussion, our goal this year when we set the levy was to be able to maintain a balanced budget and also to be able to fund some more highway projects. And the highway projects came from the shift in the sales tax, and we now have that in place. And as we have started to run more multi-year forecasts for levy adjustment, it looks like our levy growth will be quite a bit smaller down the road than what it has been for this year. But this is the number that we arrive at to maintain that balance and to not cut into current fund balances.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I just echo, there's nothing more I can say than the Commissioner Wright just said. I had no desire to get into fund balances and reserves either, and I hope, we got a lot of things going on, and I think we have a good plan, and I would hope that a year from now that will show.
Ron?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Colleen, thank you for that good news of reduction in the levy. Has the calculation been run on our preliminary levy? We were talking about 8.9%. Have we recalculated
Yeah, so
that
now
number?
it's at 8.5%.
8.5. Okay, that is very good news. So, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Matt, I think you're up. Although my agenda's so messed up today, you're probably supposed to go 2 hours ago. I don't know.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm here to request consider approval to purchase a new core switch router from CDWG of Chicago, Illinois on the state contract for a cost of $67,224.15 with funds from the information technology budget. While planning the needs for the new government center, the core switch router at the courthouse was identified as needing to be upgraded or replaced. A router in a computer network acts like maps, the map app on your phone for data by directing each data packet to the correct location. The current device does not meet the needs or requirements that the government center will bring. It is 8+ years old. It was expected to last 7 to 10 years when purchased in 2011, and several of the components are nearing their announced end of support date of October 2022. We looked at 4 different options regarding the replacement of this device. Option 1 is a software upgrade costing $6,819.55. This option does not extend the life of the device, it only provides the added features necessary. Option 2 upgrades the components that have an announced end of life or end of support date. It totals $63,000 or costing $48,409.20 plus support and maintenance of about $5,000 per year for a total of $63,409 over 3 years and has an expected life of 5 to 7 years. It is important to note that the upgraded components or components not being upgraded with option 2 are expected to have an announced end of support date within the next 3 to 5 years. Option 3, a full replacement providing all of the features and functionality necessary, has a life expectancy of 7 to 10 years, possibly longer with upgrades around years 7 to 10. Total cost is $67,224.15, including 3 years of support and maintenance. Option 4 is an alternate full replacement option. This option uses 3 separate devices to provide the same features and functionality as option 3. The cost is $46,944.15, including 3 years of support and maintenance, and has an expected life of 5 to 7 years. After discussion between County Administrator and IT, option 3, full replacement, is recommended. This option meets all of the needs and requirements going forward, including with the Government Center, provides the longest possible life of the equipment, as well as providing the most redundancy and failover capabilities. The two most common failures of this type of equipment are power supply failures or the failure of a controller module. With option 4, the controller failure will result in the loss or failure of 1/3 of the port capacity, which will result in outages. With option 3, a controller failure will not result in the loss or failure of port capacity. Both options 3 and 4 have redundant power supplies.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I move the approval of the purchase of the core switch router for the courthouse, as explained by Mr. Troska.
Option 3.
Option 3.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second that.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Or should we make it read it again? I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, Matt, for bringing us all of this information.
All the options are great.
Giving us all the options. We appreciate all the research that's gone into this. The question I have is the core switch router will be installed at the courthouse, and that's a permanent installation. It will not have to be moved to the new government center?
Correct.
All right, and it will then just be interconnected by fiber optic cable?
That is correct.
Center. Okay, so we're getting the best process for the long-term future, and I appreciate that.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing now, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, everybody help me, but I think we've came to all the items on the agenda. The 10:20 ditch meeting is for Commissioner Szymanski, Polmeyer, and I, correct? So I believe we could adjourn this meeting and then open that one, right?
Well, you ought to do your, whatever is at the end.
The open forum and things, right. But other than that, we could adjourn once that's complete?
Yes.
All right,
What about our closed session, Mr. Chairman?
we can't.
We can't. So
Open forum or press relations?
So I talked to Connie last week, I think it was, to talk about with the property tax levy, the tax impact on a average sized home in, Glencoe or Broughton or Silver Lake. And I think it might be too early yet, but I was wondering if that information is available. Because I think Connie said something about the school districts, one of the school districts with their kind of tax, different.
Yeah. What the referendum would be, you mean?
Yeah, right, that's the word I was looking for, referendum.
So I don't know if I
So I'm looking
understand your
for,
question.
sorry, I'm kind of jumbling around. I'm looking for the tax impact on, a standard.
Like, so if we gave you the value of, I mean, if maybe Connie could work with you on it and give
Yeah,
you,
and it's more, honestly, it's more that I'm kind of, required to ask the question. I've been asked to ask the question, so, and I know that we talked and it's a little bit early, I think, but I was told to come up and ask.
I mean, if you're asking for go ahead.
Yeah. So the answer to your question gets a little bit more complicated than just what does the levy mean. But yet, I think it's very possible to run those models. But when you look at what you pay, there are two variables that make up that number. Number one is what your evaluation change of your home or your property. That's the first one. So if your property went up or down in value, that changes it. And then it's all the levies that are on there. So my personal example, on our farm, we pay on about 300 acres and farm plates and a home. And for next year, my taxes are going to go up about $1,100. So I could, at first glance, say, well, all the levies went up, and I did it to myself sitting here in this position. But then, at the same time, our tillable acreage went up a little bit. The value of my home went up a little bit, and so then that changed that final number. And so what you're looking for is kind of hard to wrap your arms around, but yet we can definitely find that answer.
So in your opinion, would it be too early, do you think, for, or what's the?
No, I don't think it's too
the
early. I think
school
you just,
numbers
one of them, I think we're still waiting on one of them to be in there, but.
So the discussion that I had with Jacob involved, yes, the tax impact. I can give him the tax impact of McLeod County, but depending upon what school district, what city, those are all different based upon different values. So I always need to know an exact question.
So, yeah, Jacob, just whatever you need, we can get you, okay? So,
That's all.
fair enough?
Yeah, that's all I was looking for.
Okay.
Great.
All right,
Okay. Mr. Chair.
yes.
Connie, while we have you here, have all the local units of government supplied you with that levy information? Do we have the final numbers yet, or are they still coming in?
They're still coming in. They're not due to me until I think December 28th.
Okay. So at December 28th, then you can dial it in pretty close to.
I did also refer Jacob to the school districts of 2859 and 423 because they have hired consultants who give out this information for those people in those districts and gave him the contact information for them.
Okay. But those school districts will just be giving them tax implications or impacts based on their levies, only not county-wide or city-wide. Is that correct?
Well, true, but countywide really isn't determined until I recalculate in March. We share cross-county rates in February. It's not so simple as just.
Okay. That's why we use computers, right?
That's right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Anything
you.
else, Jacob? Okay. All right, looking for a motion to recess until our next board meeting on the 31st at 9 a.m. at the Glencoe City Center.
Move to recess, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank